All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. If you're watching this on a recording, thanks for watching the recording. So I have one of my favorite sayings up on the screen. If there's a way to do it better, find it. And so in the real estate space, I'm always looking at how do we take and do things better? How do we look at things differently? How do we take and improve what we were already there? And the question I always ask is, if there were things that you thought about the real estate that you found out were wrong, would you want to know about them, right? And so as we're going to talk today a lot about compensation and how we get paid and understanding our cash flow. If there was a way to do that better and we found it, would you want to know about it? If the average real estate agent makes $38,386, which is what salary.com tells you, NAR is about $42,000. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about real estate compensation and how we could do it better. So let me give you an example of that, right? Is it possible, just possible, give this a thought for a minute, that your broker would make your mortgage payment for you, or maybe your car payment, or would maybe pay off your credit cards? Would the broker, because I hear this a lot, well, I love my broker, he's a friend of mine, she's a friend of mine. Well, would they pay off your car, your credit cards, or maybe make your health insurance, or fund a retirement plan for you? Are they that much of a friend? And so the real question that I ask everybody is, if there's a real estate company that would pay your personal expenses, like your car payments, your credit cards, your mortgage payments, and they'd allow you to accumulate long-term assets that you could buy at a discount, and they'd fund a retirement plan, and they would do it all from the company dollars instead of your commission. Imagine a universe in which realtors had all of those personal expenses paid, funded a retirement, and it all came from the company dollars. Not your commissions, right? Not the pressure of you closing all those deals, but it came from the company revenue. If such a model existed, would you want to know about it? Raise your hand for me. How many of you guys would want to know about a model where that could actually happen? Because at the end of the day, folks, it has, okay? And the company's called EXP. And it works on a different thought process than a typical real estate company. We're going to look at both sides of that. But EXP, very simply stated, is a revenue and an ownership redistribution system. Well, that sounds pretty funky, right? It's cool. Well, at the end of the day, here's how it works, folks. The agents are the owners. And as part of being an owner and helping the company grow, they will also share revenue with our agents. And I'm going to contrast that for you against a typical revenue up, expense down model for you today. But what I want you to understand is that that model is out there, that you actually could have your mortgage payment paid for you, or your car payment paid for you, or any of those kinds of expenses like that, that's actually happening. Like in your, Joseph, in your case, I've got you unmuted. I think I've got you unmuted. No, I don't. Now I do.
Hey there, good morning.
How you doing? Right now,
wonderful, thank you.
Your real estate broker, by and large, is making your mortgage payment for you, aren't they?
Yes, that is the case.
And so at the end of the day, folks, what would that be like knowing that you didn't have the pressure of that cash flow on you? And so today we're going to talk about that and walk through a system, because I believe you want to know about it, right? I think it would be irresponsible of us not to. Well, real quick, who is eXp Realty? Well, we've been in business since 2009. We were started by a gentleman named Glenn Sanford, who's one of the top 50 realtors in the world for Keller Williams. By 2011, eXp was already recognized by Inman and Swanepoel as what they referred to us as the Amazon of real estate. By 2013, we became a publicly traded company. 2014, we launched agent ownership, where the agents actually became the owners of the company. By the end of 2016, we had 2,401 agents in 41 states. You see, it took 6 years for eXp to reach 1,000 agents. Why is that important? Well, Keller Williams, the largest company in the world, the fastest growing company before eXp, it took them 13 years to get to 1,000 agents. It took eXp 6. It took 6 months after that to reach 2,000. It took 3 months after that to reach 3,000. And by December of last year, we had reached 6,000 agents. We closed the year with 6,511 agents across the United States. In February of this year, we reached 8,000. And as of last week, we had 9,411 agents that worked at eXp, with over 3,000 applications in place for agents to join the company. So I want you to think about that growth for a minute. 13 years for KW to get to 1,000. We did it in 6. In less than 9 years, we already have more than 9,000 agents, and within the next couple months, we'll be well over 10,000. And we're going to do that in less than 9 years. But here's the cool part. We're already the 7th largest real estate brokerage in the United States. And we did that in a little less than 8 years with 6,511 agents. We went from 104, we were the 104th ranked real estate broker in 2017, heading into the year. By the end of 2017, we were the number 7 brokerage in closed transactions in the entire United States, all in less than 8 years, folks. I want you to think about that. We closed 25,000 transactions last year, a little over 25. By the end of March, we've already closed 10,000 transactions. We have 10,000 in escrow right now, and it's April. That's how fast this company is growing, right? But here's another thing. We not only are growing fast, but we have some of the top people in the United States, some of the top team leaders, some of the top producers in the United States joining us. Jeff and Marcy Willems. Marcy's the number 16 agent in the entire United States, wrote a check for $73,000 to get out of her RE/MAX agreement. Brent Gove came from Keller Williams and RE/MAX, the number 2 agent in the state of California. Darren James, the number 1 agent in the state of Louisiana, who rolled his entire company into EXP. Jeff Cook, the number 1 agent in the state of South Carolina, rolled his entire company into EXP. Nicole Charles, the number 3 agent in the state of Wisconsin. Jay Kinder and Michael Reese, I think everybody knows who they are. Tom Truon, one of the top agents in the state of Massachusetts. Curtis Johnson, one of the top 50 realtors in the United States. Guys, what is it about this company that people like that are joining? I'd like you to consider that, because the real question that I have to ask you is, well, why are people like that joining? Why are we growing? But if I was you, I would be sitting there asking this question: how can I participate? But most importantly, how can I profit from that growth, right? Because let's be honest, guys, this is about you. How much money you make, your financial future. You should be sitting there looking at this from your standpoint, right? So it's great that this company is growing fast. How do you participate and profit from that, right? And so at the end of the day, that's what we're here to talk about. Well, how is it that traditional real estate works? Well, number one, a traditional realtor, meaning any other company other than EXP, they really only get paid at closing. They have one way of getting paid. They close. Now, here's the downside to that. Not only do you have to close the transaction, but you're the one responsible for generating the leads, right? You're the one paying the expenses. You're the one doing all the work. And so you need to understand it all relies on you. Now, you may have a company that you get leads from, but then they charge you for them, right? So the only way as a realtor to get paid is to constantly have a consistent source of closings coming. And, well, it's all on you to take and generate those leads and do all the work. And see, the way that it works in a traditional real estate model, folks, and it doesn't matter if it's a franchise, independently owned, it all works the same. The money flows up, right? A closing comes in, the money comes in, goes into the broker, and then it comes back down to you. But here's what these are referred to. They're called revenue up because you have to close a deal. The revenue goes up to the broker, and then they send you the money back down after they deduct the expenses, right? So when I hear agents say, hey, I have this really nice office, great, you're paying for it. I hope it's nice. This is an example of a young lady who was a $600,000 GCI producer in 2017, that one of the top 3 real estate companies in the world, right? I think you recognize the blue and white. This is the offer that they made to her. So an average sale price of $400,000, when it's all netted down on a $12,000 commission, she's going to send $12,000 up, and they're going to send $5,376 back down to her. That's what we mean by revenue up, expense down. I mean, look at these 6% royalties and admin fees and fees for leads and transaction fees. Guys, at the end of the day, that's what's going on in our business. The revenue goes up and it comes down. Now, some companies send more money down to an agent, but at the end of the day, we're asking the wrong questions as real estate agents. Instead of saying, hey, how much of my money can I keep, right? Traditionally, the way that you would ask that, hey, what's your splits or what are your fees? The question you should be asking a broker is, how much will you pay me to hold my license at your company? This shouldn't be, hey, how much will you let me keep? It's how much will you pay me? And I'm going to walk through that process for you and show you how that process works at EXP, right? See, at EXP, we have multiple ways of getting paid at a closing. We get commissions like everybody else, but at every transaction, we have the ability to accumulate assets, stock in the company, at a discounted value. So we can obtain assets that hopefully appreciate in the future, and we can get that as a discount. From every transaction, we have the ability to take and put in a place a monthly cash flow system where you're getting paid. You can get paid mentorship fees. If you're willing to take and help mentor agents, you can get paid for that. And finally, in the real estate investments, I'm going to walk you through how Don turned a $160,000 rental property into $24,000. So can we agree it's better to get paid multiple ways? Because at EXP, we follow this program or this thought process, right? If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. It's called the Cash Flow Quadrant. And it talks about the different ways in which we generate income. For us as realtors, we're in that self-employed model, right? If we don't work, we don't eat. It's that simple. If you want to take 6 months off, go ahead. Good luck with that. The goal at EXP is to try and move you into that right side of the quadrant where you own a system where you're generating revenue whether you're working or not. It's that simple. And so at the end of the day, if you're working on one commission, what side of the quadrant are you working on? Well, you're on the left side, right? You own a job. If you stop working, you stop earning, right? But if you're getting paid in multiple ways, what side of the quadrant are you on? Because at EXP, our model is designed to move your real estate business from the left side of the quadrant to the right side, right? Wouldn't it be cool that it's not always on you every month to be closing deals to pay your bills? Wouldn't that give you peace of mind? I mean, at the end of the day, guys, here's a question for you to consider. 10 or 20 years from now, which side of the quadrant do you want to be on? I mean, do you want to be 80 years old out still putting lock boxes and for sale signs up? Or do you want to be able to have a retirement strategy where you can walk away? Now, in this case, this gentleman, I'm assuming he still wants to work, but do we really want to be an 80-year-old agent still kicking it? Listen, we may love the business, but maybe I want to do a handful of deals when I'm 80, but I sure don't want to be doing this where I'm out there working that hard. I'd rather be on the right side of the quadrant, right? But you have to determine for yourself, which side do you want to be on? And here's the good news. We're going to give you the ability to make that decision today, right? Because we believe the value proposition of EXP is so good that it'd be fiscally irresponsible for an agent or a broker to hang their license anywhere else. And that includes people who own their own companies. And so as we go through this today, I want you to understand how it is that agents are compensated at EXP, because at the end of the day, this is about being able to make a decision about where do you have the best financial future, right? So let's talk about that. How is it that EXP has been able to do the things that they do? Well, it's a simple answer: technology, right? Technology is changing everything. It's allowed Airbnb to become the largest hotelier in the world, yet they don't own a hotel room. Or Uber to become the largest transportation company in the world, yet they don't own a car. Technology took Blockbuster in 6 years, completely put them out of business. Well, technology is changing in real estate, right? And it's now changed in the model, in the way in which we can work. We can now move from a brick and mortar environment to a virtual office environment. Instead of having a brick and mortar office, we can do a virtual office where we can provide a 1,000 times better level of service for agents without the expense of a traditional brick and mortar company. And without that expense, we're able to take and compensate agents differently. We can take the money that we would be spending on rent and staffing and all those other things associated with it, equipment, and we can take and find a way to take and reward the agents and get that money back in their pocket instead of the company, right? So that's how we're able to do it. The power of EXP has taken Pat Hayes. Pat's unfortunately sick today, a 37-year-old kid who's been a real estate agent for 4 years, and he's been able to take and do this in 4 years. He's built an 802 agent team across 32 states and Canada. He'll generate somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 in overrides and referral fees from his team. He generates 0 leads for the team. He has 0 marketing expenses. He has 0 overhead for the team. He has 0 oversight. He's not the broker. He's not any of that. He didn't have to go into any kind of debt or sign personal liability or personal guarantees. And his life isn't dictated by cash flow because he's making a 6-figure income before he closes a sale every month. Would that be a better way to build a team, guys? But the only reason that that's possible is because of the ability of the EXP model, because we don't have that traditional brick and mortar office, right? That to me is a much better way to build a team and to build a business than what we do traditionally in real estate. Now, there's 4 things that Glenn Sanford put in place to make this completely unique and disrupt the business. So I'm going to go through each of them in detail. Number 1, we're a cloud-based real estate company. We have an office. It's just virtual, Meaning you can do this on your phone. You can do business from your phone. You can do it from your laptop, but you don't have to drive, get up, get cleaned up, drive to an office to attend a 40-minute training class. You can do it all from the push of a button. Because we don't have all the expense of a traditional real estate company, we can put that back into lead generation systems, because lead generation is the lifeblood for every agent, right? Then we're an agent-owned company. It's a publicly traded company that's owned by the agents. And then we have an unparalleled revenue sharing plan. And I'll break all this down for you in great detail. But what's it mean to be a cloud-based company? Well, we simply have a virtual office. We act as an avatar. We appear online as an avatar, but we do everything that you could do in a brick and mortar office online, in a virtual office. If I need to attend a training class, I can attend a training class by virtual office. Literally, Dan Lisi is on this call today watching from his phone, right? Well, you can do the same thing. If you have a question on a transaction or technical support or whatever it is, you simply click on a button on your laptop or your desktop and you get it solved in the cloud, right? We have support at every level, whether you're a new agent coming into the company, whether you got a question on a transaction or any of that, marketing questions, business development. The most important one to me, though, folks, is technology. How many hours a year do you spend trying to figure out the technology of running your business, right? What if you actually had a tech support department? You could click on a button, go in there, and they would say, you tell them, like I'll just use James as an example. James got this virus one time, spent about 4 hours messing around with it, called me, says, hey, any ideas? Like, yeah, go into tech support. James goes in there, they go, hey, James, click on this, we'll take over your computer, go have coffee or whatever, come back in 15 minutes, and lo and behold, that's fixed. Well, he spent 4 hours messing around with it. Wouldn't it be better to have something like that and be able to have that available at a click of a button? Because time is money, right? We have over 200 support staff people in the cloud at any given time available to help our agents. Can you imagine that? People there that are there to serve the agent, no emails, no voicemails, no none of that. Simply go in and get fixed what you need fixed. We use SkySlope for documentation, right? So there is no more signing of documents and paper copies and all that. It's all done from either a desktop or a phone. When we were in Vegas last week, I was talking to the broker from Hawaii. While I'm talking to him, he's approving contracts on his cell phone. That's what a technology company does, right? Every week, we have over 25 hours of live training in the cloud. So you don't have to get up and get dressed and drive into an office to go attend that. You simply push a button and you're there, right? Here's the other thing, guys. How'd you like to spend like an hour a week with agents like this? Some of the top people in the industry. Every Friday, I believe it's noon Eastern. 3 different agents are the top agents at EXP, devote an hour of their time to take and talk with agents across the company to talk about their business and what they could do differently. Wouldn't it be better to learn from people like this that are performing at the highest levels of the industry instead of a broker who might not have done a deal in 10 years? And so that training is available online, right? I liken it to having a real estate conference every week that you pay thousands of dollars to attend, and you'd pay travel expenses to get there. And with EXP, it's free and it's in the cloud. You don't have to go anywhere to do it, right? Now, if you do need a brick and mortar office, we pay for a contract with Regis. You can use any of the common areas of a Regis office that are located all over the world at absolutely no cost. So if you want to go meet a client, you can go meet a client at a Regis office. And so if you really want to have a place to work, I recommend that you have a place to work, that you go and do that, because you'll do more business, right? I hear a lot, it's like, well, I need an office to go and work at. My question is, James or Joseph, I think I got both of you unmuted. Back in your old days when you had a brick and mortar environment, how many times did an agent come up to you and say, hey guys, we're thinking about selling the house. We'd like you to list it. Did that ever happen?
Nope, never happened.
How about on the buyer side? Hey James, we're looking to buy a house. Would you represent us?
No, absolutely never.
So guys, think about this. Again, we have to question everything we do in the real estate business. Why are we going to places to work where we have absolutely no chance of getting business? What if we were to go work at a Regis office where there are all these local business owners that are there that could become referral partners for you? Or heck, what if you went to a Starbucks and you work and you could generate business from that? Why would you go to a real estate office where you have absolutely no ability to take and get deals? Go hang out where people are at. And so these are great places to go and start referral relationships with local business owners instead of hanging around a real estate office, listening to a bunch of people cackle about how good the market is, bad the market is, and all that nonsense. go where you can get deals, right? And EXP pays for it. So if you do want a brick and mortar place to go work, you got it. So let's talk about lead generation, because in my opinion, guys, building your business with the wrong lead gen tools is like trying to build a house with a Fisher-Price tool set. I mean, I work in the technology space all the time. It's basically what I do. And when I see some of the tools that some of the real estate companies have, it's embarrassing. Like one of the companies that are owned by one of the wealthiest men in the world, do you know that they have IDX, but they can't capture a lead on their website? One of the other companies that I demonstrated where they're going to take like 50% of her income, yeah, they're a technology company too. Do you know, though, that if you generate leads, you pay them a fee for it off their website? What kind of real estate business is that? That you charge your agents that, or that, you know, you don't even have lead generation capabilities yet you're owned by one of the wealthiest men in the world. That's ridiculous. How could you possibly be successful with a real estate business that works like that? So what Glenn did is he went out and he cut a deal with Conversion and Commissions Inc., two of the top real estate lead generation and follow-up platforms in the industry. They're very expensive, folks. They're $1,000 to start up. They're anywhere from $500 to Commissions Inc. can be as much as $2,000 a month. At EXP, they're provided as part of the tech package for $50 a month. So it's a real simple thing. If you're not happy with your lead generation, 99% of the time, I'll tell you, you're using the wrong tools. Now, if you're watching this and you're not with EXP, I will tell you, I recommend if you don't want to take and join EXP and pay $50 for these, then you should go out and pay them what they're worth, because let me tell you, folks, these tools are that good. But I would tell you if you could get it for $50, it's a better deal. Well, why are these things so good, right? Well, I'm going to give you an example. Jeff and Amanda Whitespear, they actually came to EXP simply to cut their marketing expenses. Actually, you know, they do 175 transactions a year. Last year, they did 245. They were paying a couple $1,000s a month for lead gen. And guys, at the end of the day, with the money they saved at EXP, they put 24 grand in their pocket, doing exactly what they were doing before. So let's think about how we're compensated and how we spend our money and where that cash flow goes. Well, wouldn't it be better to pay $50 a month to have access to some of the best tools? Because in my opinion, folks, every agent needs at least 3 funnels that run 24/7, 365 days a year and generate leads for you. These are 3 of the examples that I use. There's a bunch of others, right? You should have Facebook ads. You should have Make It Rain, which is Google pay-per-click inside of EXP, where they'll do it for you. And you should be running things on Craigslist. There's 3 simple things that you could do. But in most of the real estate platforms, you don't have the ability to do that. You can't build lead capture pages that work, right? So this is what it looks like. This is a funnel, a Facebook funnel, where you run an ad that goes to a conversion landing page that goes into a CRM and does automated follow-up. See, wouldn't it be cool while you're on this call that you had leads, you had traffic running to your sales funnels to generate leads, that even though you were on the phone, you were actually instantly following up? What if you had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those kind of funnels running every single day? What would your business look like? Make It Rain is simply Google pay-per-click. You can do Google, anybody can do Google pay-per-click. We have inside of EXP, it's called Make It Rain, and Conversion will actually do it for you. This is an email that my wife received. She's working with this gentleman now from Make It Rain. He's buying a $700,000 to $800,000 house. Here's another Make It Rain lead that they're buying. They're moving from California. I think it's like a $275,000 sale. Well, gosh, if I had those sales funnels running and I was doing Google pay-per-click and these kind of things were happening for me, would I have a different real estate business than I have right now, right? And, well, this just gives you some ideas. This was back in last Memorial Day, and I use this because everybody goes, no, nobody is interested in real estate on a holiday weekend. Guys, this was $10 worth of Facebook ads on Memorial Day weekend last year, right? What if every day you came into your Gmail and you had leads like this coming in? What would your real estate business look like, folks? But here's the thing, it doesn't work if you don't have the right tools, right? So there's other lead funnels that you can run. There's video SEO, you can do YouTube ads or seminars. There's a whole series of ways, but what I want to challenge you to think about, folks, if you're unhappy with your income, you need to look at your sales funnels and say, how many of them do I have, and what's it costing me, and what's my ROI? And if you're sitting there watching this and you're one of those companies where you don't have the ability to put these lead funnels in place, just know that it's costing you probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in income. And so we believe at EXP it's imperative that you have the right tools to put these systems in place. What if we could teach you how to do a lead conversion and referral seminar? I'm actually doing a live training event in June here in Phoenix where we're going to take and set up at least 3 sales funnel on day 1. Day 2, we're going to teach you how to build a referral-based system and build referral seminars like this. And we're going to do that live. What real estate companies do this? Where do you go to do those kinds of things? Where do you go to get those kinds of tools without spending a fortune? And the answer is the only place that I know where you can do that for $50 a month is EXP, right? Plus, well, here's the good news. An EXP agent actually has 33% more people to talk to, because typically you can talk to a buyer and a seller, but we can talk to buyers, sellers, and renters. Now, any agent, yes, they can talk to a renter and they can take and go out and get them a lease and you make whatever, $1,000 maybe if you're lucky. Well, we actually have a little different system, right? We have an investor network. It's available. It's not available everywhere, right? It's available in 41 different markets. And here's what we've done. We have a group of investors that if you have a renter that would like to pick out their own house to rent, the investors will come in and buy it. They're not looking to buy it at like 50% off the sale price as long as it's appraised properly. They'll buy it. You'd get your 3% commission, and they'll execute a rent-to-own or a lease option with that buyer. They'll have 5 years to buy it, and they actually have a couple of lenders that they work with that will actually work with them over the course of their lease option to put financing in place for them to be able to buy the property. So you as an agent now actually have renters that you can talk to still get your 3% commissions instead of some lease. So guys, here's the thing. Will you make more money if you have 3 different types of prospects to talk to instead of 2? 33% more people we can open up for you to talk to, right? So our investor network will help you do that. Now, we all know that technology changed the business. 100% of shoppers go online. Guys, what if you were able to dominate Google like this? I mean, what would happen? I mean, this is James. James, you ever lost a listing appointment when you go in and show people their house on the first page of Google and your presence on Google? You ever lost a listing?
Nope, have not.
Joseph, how about you? I think I unmuted you. No, I didn't. There you go. Joseph, you ever lost a listing in this? Yeah, he's muted. Because at the end of the day, guys, if 100% of people are online and you can't be found, and your real estate company can't help you. I mean, here's the question I ask. If you're watching this from another real estate company, go in and ask your broker how they're going to help you get on the first page of Google like this. What are you going to do, Mr. or Miss Broker, to help me do this? And the answer is, will you do more money? Will you make more money if you have a presence on Google instead of giving that to, all the giving it to Zillow, Truly, and Realtor.com? How do you do that? Well, guess what? We've got tools that can help you with that, right? Then we can take and teach you a listing presentation to go out and do this. This is Keith Rushing up in Northern California. Keith worked for one of those big 3 companies, the blue and white one. Keith made 5 times the income last year that he made the year before working at that company. He's turned into a listing machine in a market that the average price is about $1 million. So here's an example. Hey, I just listed a $1.25 million house. Seller wanted to do it for 4. Other agents were doing it for 5. I did it for 6. Here's another one. He actually put it under contract on Christmas Eve. $1.149 million house. He took it at 5%, but he's now taking listings. He's made 5 times what he made last year at that blue and white company, guys. This is Make It Rain. You simply tell them how much you want to spend, and they'll do it for you. Even for myself, I know how to do pay-per-click, but it's far more efficient for me to let them do it. And this is just another funnel, folks, that you can target the areas you want to work on, and somebody else will do the work. You just do the lead follow-up. That's what Make It Rain is. So here's the question for you. Would you make more money if you had that type of training and mentorship, along with all the lead generation tools, Make It Rain, Facebook tools, listing tools, our investor network, the websites that actually can collect leads and follow up on them? You have the ability to build a Google presence. You have referral systems, CRMs, and follow-up systems. Would you make more money? Because at the end of the day, folks, that's what this call is about today. Where can you make the most amount of money? And so if you agree you can, well, let's talk about the cool stuff then, right? Let's talk about agent ownership. It's a publicly traded company. There are 6 different ways to get stock. Your first transaction of the year, you get 50 shares. You simply close your first deal, you're an agent owner. That's how it works. Imagine that. Hey, thanks for closing your first transaction. Now you're an owner. At every transaction, you have the ability to take 5% of your commission, and you can buy the stock at a 20% discount. You see, when Glenn started the company, he said, hey, these royalties, 6 and 8%, these are crazy. Let's take and let our agents use their money to buy assets at a discount that, if we all do our job well, can appreciate in the future. And you can buy it at a 20% discount. When you cap, I'll talk about, you get 100 shares. If you refer an agent to the company, you get 100 shares. Right? I mean, James Joseph, what did you get at your old company if you referred an agent? You guys did, right? What'd you get?
We got nothing. Pat on the back. Thanks.
A pat on the back. So as of today, the stock was about $13 a share when I looked before we got on. You got handed $1,300 worth of stock at a publicly traded company. You can buy it. We have an Icon agent program I'll explain to you in a couple of minutes. We actually just applied to be sold on NASDAQ. We were an over-the-counter we were on the over-the-counter market before we just applied to go on NASDAQ. That's a big deal because, well, quite honestly, guys, it probably will help the value of our stock, right? So this young man, Dan, are you on a computer or are you still on a phone? This young man happens to be on the call today. I got you unmuted, Dan, so unmute yourself. There you go. I met Dan last year in San Diego. And at the time, Dan had almost $1 million in stock. Since then, sounds like he's on the phone. Since then, Dan's been able to take and sell some of his stock. He paid off his house. He paid off his kid's house. And he bought one of his kids a house, just to be fair. And guys, he still has millions of dollars worth of stock. Where else can you go and do that in real estate? Now, I can't tell you what's going to happen to the stock. I can tell you what did happen. I can tell you what happened for Dan. He's just on the call, or he's just on a call, not listening. But at the end of the day, guys, you have the ability to do that in your own company. I don't know what'll happen, but at least I'm in the game, right? Do we have the ability to build wealth through stock? The answer is no everywhere else, but it is at EXP. Now, we have an unparalleled revenue sharing plan. So here's what I want you to understand, guys. Glenn Sanford was a top 50 agent for Keller Williams. He looked at that model. Number one, he says, why in the world do I have this big office? This is stupid. In 2009, he's looking at that going, my God, what are we paying for? And he said, what if I built a company? But I got to be honest, Keller Williams built a heck of a model. They've obviously been very successful. They're a great company. But what if I did it differently? Let's go back to the Thomas Edison quote. If there's a better way to do it, find it. And he looked at the Keller Williams model and says, well, what if I did it differently? There's technically 6 massive differences. One is that we have a virtual office. Well, what if we did higher splits? We did no royalties. So we're not doing something paying money, our hard-earned money, to somebody else to make them wealthy. We keep that money, right? We have lower caps, so an agent keeps more of their money. And then we share the revenue, not the profits. I want you to think about that one for a minute. Keller Williams was revolutionary when they came along, right? They were competing against the 100% RE/MAX type models and said, hey, we're going to share profits with you. Guys, you're all business people on this call. Is it better to share revenue off the top or profits after everything's been paid? And Glenn said, let's share the revenue. And then finally, let's make our agents owners, right? If you're the owner of a company, will you look at the things that you do differently? Everything that you do, will you do it differently if you have skin in the game? And so there's 5 main differences in how we compensate agents. He put it into a plan that makes this unparalleled, right? So let's talk about the money. Our commission is 80-20 until you cap. There is no royalty. Cap is $16,000 a year. Once you pay $16,000 to EXP, you go to a per transaction fee. So if you look down at the bottom, for the next 20 transactions, you'd pay $250 per transaction. So you take Joseph, he capped in about 3 or 4 months, whatever it was. Joseph right now is on 100%. He pays $250 per transaction. There's a $25 broker review fee, $30 E&O fee, but same thing, it's capped at $500 a year. In California, it's $45. You guys just like to sue people more out there. But it still caps at $500. Those are our fees. So when people say to me, well, it's an 80-20 split. No, I say, no, it's $16,000 a year, assuming you do 80,000 in sales or 80,000 in GCI. You would have paid 16,000 to EXP. That's it. So let's go further. The other thing, you have the ability to be a mentor. If you have experience at this, you can take a 1-hour class, and if you want to take and work with newer agents, you can get a 10% override of their first 5 deals. Many times they want to take and do it for their first 10 deals. Really, you're just there to answer questions on contracts and share wisdom with them. But it's another way to generate revenue, folks. Because at the end of the day, would you rather have a real estate business where the only way you get paid is a commission? Or you have the ability to earn revenue from multiple resources, multiple streams of revenue? Which is better for you financially? So if you're inclined to do that, you have that available to you. So if we take and bring a new agent aboard who has no experience, we assign them a mentor. They agree to take and pay a 10% override for the first 5 transactions. Again, many of them say, well, no, I want to do the first 10. That's between you guys. But it's another way to generate revenue, relatively painless. We also get to do 3 personal transactions at 100%. So you can do 3 sides a year where you keep all the commission. Now, a couple rules on it. Number 1, you got to be a productive agent. You have to pay the transaction fee. You have to pay E&O, and you have to pay the broker. And you have to be on the title. So now I got 3 personal transactions a year I can do without paying anything, right? So let me tell you how Don parlayed his. Last July, I believe it was, he sold one of his rental properties, but said, hey, you know what? I didn't pay a commission on this. So what if I took my commission and I went out and bought stock? And the day that he bought it, he paid $3.15 a share. He bought 1,428 shares. Instead of paying a commission to his broker, he was able to take and use that money. He very wisely used it to buy EXP stock. Didn't get it at a discount, just went and bought it on the open market. That stock is now worth over $24,000. Guys, how hard do you have to work to be able to take and do the same thing? And he just simply wisely used his money to do that. So not only do you get the personal transactions, but you can do smart things like that with Don, and there's another way to take and generate revenue, right? So what does it cost to get started at EXP? Well, it's $99. That's one time, includes 1,000 cards, folders, lead generation sites, things like that. It's also your your first $50 a month technology fee. The only monthly fee we have is that $50. Guys, I just tell you, it's for the cost of conversion or commissions, Inc. One time a year on your first transaction, you pay a $420, what we refer to as a university education fee. Folks, really what that does, it covers the cost of our staffing and the cloud. So it's taken out of your first transaction, but remember, well, you're given 50 shares of stock, so currently the stock is at $13, right around that. That's $650 in stock you're given. Well, wait a second. If I'm paying $16,000 to the company and $420 a year is going to cover most of the costs of running the company, what happens to that $16,000? Well, here's the cool part. Number 1, you're a shareholder, so the more revenue that comes in, it's better for you. But what Glenn said is, well, what if I took and put a system in place where I would share the company revenue? That's $16,000. I'd share that with the agents. Here's a question I have to ask for you guys. How many guys, if you knew there was a real estate company that would pay your personal expenses, right, like your mortgage and your car payments, you could buy stock like that at a discount, you could build a retirement plan all from the company revenue? How many guys would tell another agent about that? And how many guys have friends in the business or a relative in another state that you would tell them, oh my God, is your broker paying your mortgage payment? How many guys would do that? Raise your hand for me. Would you tell an agent? How many guys have told an agent about your company before? Well, the question is, if all you want to do is take and get, a pat on the back, great. But by sharing the EXP story, you can actually get paid. So here's how it works. If you refer an agent to EXP, you just go, hey, James, this is an awesome company. You should check it out. Of that $16,000 that comes into EXP, they will pay you up to $2,800 of James' commission that he paid to the company. The company revenue, they would pay you 3.5% of the commission up to $2,800. Why up to $2,800? Well, once James pays $16,000 for that year to EXP, he's on 100%. There's no more money to pay out. Well, what if James doesn't cap? What if he only does $40,000 a year? It doesn't matter. If, let's just say, James closes a $10,000 transaction right now, that's a small one in California, right? What would happen is, of that $10,000, I would be paid, in this case, my wife is his sponsor. In this case, my wife would be paid $350 on the 22nd of the month following James's closing. It's that simple. So even if he doesn't cap, you get 3.5% of that commission. So that's pretty awesome, right? That's $2,800 a year you have for every agent you shared. Is that better than a pat on the back? A Starbucks gift card?
Heck yeah.
I get up to $2,800 a year instead of a pat on the back. Well, that's pretty cool, right? Well, what happens if James goes out and talks to Joseph and says, Joseph, you need to check this out, brother. This is awesome. And Joseph goes and checks it out. Well, here's what will happen. James will get 3.5% of any closings that Joseph gets, and my wife would get 4% of a closing, up to $3,200 a year. And Joseph goes out and talks to Jerry. We get paid 2.5%, and Joseph would get, and I'm going to actually give you real live examples. Now, in order to do that, folks, in order to unlock 7 tiers of this, right, because you can be paid 7 tiers deep on this, in order to do that, you just have to refer more agents to the company. And every time you refer 5 agents, you unlock the next tier. 10 agents, the next tier. 15 agents, the next tier. And so on. Up to 40 agents. Now, are you going to do 40 agents in, a month? No. What if it took you 5 years to do this, folks? Now, here's the cool part. Let's say somebody goes, I don't even want to talk to another agent, but my brother-in-law in North Carolina would love to do this. And he joins and he goes out and builds this, goes out and tells everybody. Here's the cool part. James would still get this revenue from all those people. It's certainly smaller than this, but if James never talks to another agent again, he's still paid this amount of money. Where else can you go and do that, folks? And the answer is nowhere. So what does this look like in real life? So this is actually how it works. Michelle referred James to EXP. James referred Joseph. Joseph refers Jerry. Right? What does that actually look like? So let's assume Jerry caps, and I'm assuming everybody caps. They don't have to cap, but let's assume they are because the math is easier. Jerry caps. He paid $16,000 to EXP. Joseph received $2,800 across that course of the year when Jerry was closing transactions. So Joseph got paid $2,800. Now Joseph caps. He paid $16,000, but, well, remember, he's been reimbursed $2,800 from Jerry. So technically, it only cost Jerry $13,200, or I'm sorry, Joseph, $13,200 a year to hold his license at EXP. Now, James is paid $3,200 from Jerry's cap, right? So that's $16,000 that EXP received. They're going to pay $3,200 of that to James. They're going to pay $2,800 of it to Joseph. And now James caps. He pays his $16,000 a year. Well, guys, at the end of the day, he got paid $6,000. It's only cost him $10,000 to hold his license at EXP. Michelle's going to be paid $2,000 from Jerry, $3,200 from Joseph, and $2,800 from James. She's been paid $8,000 for that year. James, how many agents are you restricted to talk to? Like, what's the limit of the number of agents you can talk to?
You talk to as many as I'd like.
Okay, so if you're like Pat then, right, who couldn't be on here, Pat talked to 27 agents in the course of his 2 years at EXP. Pat was paid $189,551 in revenue share. You can see on a monthly basis, this is what he received in revenue share. But let's be honest, he's paid $16,000 because he capped. Pat was paid $173,551 net to hold his real estate license at EXP. I mean, I'm not even sure you calculate what that would be in terms of like split, because that's how we're trained to think as agents. Well, what's your split? Well, Pat's split is what, like 10,000%? He was paid $173,551 because he talked to 27 agents, and that's turned into 800 agents across the U.S. and Canada. Guys, I would suggest most people could retire on that and be pretty comfortable, right? Now, here's another way, because, again, we're business people. We have to be savvy, right? Again, your typical real estate agent, you got one way to get paid. I have one way to take and build wealth. It's close, close, close. The hamster wheel of life. I'm using this example. Pat's revenue share in August last year, and the reason I'm using August is I actually have the price of the shares in August of last year. If Pat would have taken that $19,816 in revenue share and bought stock that day, he wouldn't have bought it at a discount, just bought it at market value. Yesterday, the stock closed at $13.01. Pat would have turned that monthly revenue share check into $74,727. He didn't have to do any more work to do that, folks. He could take free money and turn it into assets. Now, can I tell you what's going to happen to the stock? I absolutely cannot. I can tell you we're the fastest growing company. I can tell you we put 302% more cash in the bank last year. Our revenue is growing at almost 200% a year. I can't tell you what's going to happen to the stock, but I could tell you it's pretty exciting stuff. But if Pat would have done this, actually would have used his 19.816 and bought stock, that stock right now would be worth $74,000. Guys, he didn't have to do any more work to do that, did he? He used somebody else's money. He used company revenue that he received that he could use to take and buy an asset that happened to appreciate that he could have turned into almost $75,000. My question is, can you do that at your existing company? And if the answer is no, then remember I asked you if there's a better way to do it, find it. I think you found it. So for most agents, I get, hey, it's overwhelming to think of, $178,000 a year, things like that. Let me ask you this. Joseph, what do you think like $3,000 a month would do for the average agent? Just average agent. And so let me tell you how relatively easy it is to do it. You refer 6 agents to EXP. That's it. 6 agents join EXP. Assume they cap. They make $80,000 a year. You're going to receive $2,800 from them or $16,800 a year. We simply go and help them talk to one agent. We simply sit there and say, hey, Joseph, if your broker was making your mortgage payment, what would your life be like? Does your broker do that for you? No, they don't. I muted Joseph. I guess that'd be a big deal. So at the end of the day, what would $36,000 do? Do we think we could find 6 agents? Now I unmuted you, Joseph.
There we go.
There you go. What would $3,000 a month do in California? Let's be honest. California is expensive to live in, right?
Yep.
What would $3,000 a month do for the average agent?
I would imagine mortgage payment and health insurance, and that's a massive deal. Just some consistency. If that's already taken care of, what kind of marketing can we do with $3,000 a month? It'd be pretty impressive.
And all that would come from company revenue, folks. But here's what I'd like you to consider. According to salary.com, the average realtor makes $38,386 a year. That's almost double the income for the average agent. I have to believe that there are agents in your market that you know that would love to be able to take and double their income. And even if it wasn't double, that would love to have their broker make their mortgage payment or their car payment or their health insurance payment, or maybe use it to pay off your credit card debt. But it's all coming from the company revenue, not your commissions. Well, what if I want to take and make it bigger than that? Well, then do this. We call it our 10 by 10 by 5 retirement plan. You enroll 10 agents. Let's say you do it over 5 years, guys. It's just like 2 a year. I mean, that's not like really talking to many people, is it? I did some math the other day. The average agent who closes 15 transactions and 6 listings a year comes across a minimum of 200 agents a year. Do you think we could find 2 of those agents out of 200 that would want to have a broker make their mortgage payment, or that they'd like to have $3,000 a month coming in? Again, I'm going to assume they all cap, but they don't have to cap. Well, those 10 agents would bring you $28,000 a year. And if we simply went out and helped those other 10 agents do exactly the same thing, that would turn into $348,000 a year for you. That's not assuming anybody else did anything else. Just that. Do you think it's reasonable, guys, that we could talk to 2 agents a year that would want to make more money, have access to those tools, want to be able to take and stop paying royalty fees and use it instead to buy their company stock at 20% discounts, that would be rewarded for simply talking to an agent saying, you should check out my company, man, it's awesome? Do you think that's a reasonable thought process? If you do, I would suggest, I don't know of too many people who couldn't retire on $348,000 a year. 5-year plan. Don't go crazy. So, 2 questions for you. Well, number 1, will it work that way? Of course it won't. Will everybody that you bring aboard cap? No. Will everybody share the story? No. But what will happen, folks, is you'll get guys like James and Jerry and Joseph and others on here, Larry White, and people like that go out and tell lots of people. Just share the story, and it will work. But the real question, will it work for you? Can this something you can do? Well, A, it's only something you could answer. But number two, I would tell you this: it only works if you show up. You see, you can't stay in your existing real estate platform and do this because, well, they don't have this business model. It's ironic today that I'm talking about Mark Zuckerberg as he's on testifying in front of Congress. But at the end of the day, guys, in 2004, Mark Zuckerberg invited 5 people to his dorm room. 2 people showed up. Both of them are billionaires right now. What lesson is that for the other 3 people who didn't show up? You think every day and every morning when their feet hit the floor that they go, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't go to that meeting. You see, nothing's more expensive than a closed mind. And at the end of the day, I invite you to look at this, and I invite you to break it down, study it, do your due diligence. But at the end of the day, folks, to me, this is a decision about money and your future. If you agree that it would be better that you have multiple ways of being paid instead of one, then you should look at EXP. If you believe that it would be better to be paid to hold your real estate license at a company instead of paying a broker, please don't tell me you're a 100% agent, because you're not 100% because you pay something. Pat Hayes is 100%. God, I can't even do the math on it. Joseph is a 100% plus agent. He's being paid to hold his real estate license at EXP. James is being paid to hold his real estate license at EXP. They're being paid. They're not 100%. They're 100% plus $173,000 in Pat's case. Look at the model. Because at the end of the day, folks, the average agent, we're going to keep reading books. We're going to go to seminars. We're going to do webinars on how to become a millionaire in a revenue up, expense down platform. And you can do it. Don't get me wrong. You can do it. But guys, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of cash flow to do it that way. Let's be honest, guys. Insanity was described by Einstein as doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Why would we work harder than we have to become a millionaire in a revenue up, expense down platform when we can simply do things differently? We can exist in a model that allows us to do it. Because at the end of the day, guys, Glenn Sanford created a company to give the agents the opportunity, not the guarantee, not any of that. There's work involved, right? But you have the opportunity to become a millionaire at EXP. The opportunity. That's all you can ask for in real estate, right? So here's the real question. What do you do next? Well, number one, I would invite you to download our cloud software. Anybody can do that. Whoever invited you to this call, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it as a recording, let's do a cloud walkthrough so we can show you what it's like to work in a virtual office. I don't even call it the cloud. It's a virtual office. When you can see what it's like to actually get things accomplished at the click of a button and get it fast and talk to the person and not have to do email and wait for phone calls and all that other stuff, and you see how much more efficient it is, it changes the way you look at a virtual office. And then let's talk about your business. What does that look like? How can we help you generate more leads? What does this look like for you? And then, listen, folks, we're more than happy to take and get on a 3-way call and answer your questions for you. Pat right now, unfortunately, is sick, but we'll get on a 3-way call. We'll answer questions. We want you to make a great decision. We want you to understand the platform. We want you to be excited, and we want to be able to change your life. And at the end of the day, the way that we do that is help you do more business, share the story, and build your own personal wealth. That's how we do it at EXP. With that, any questions I can answer for anyone?
Bob, this is Joseph. If I may share really quick, what's so impactful and exciting is that we get to do what we already do, but do it better. Like with a lot of the tools that you talked about, the production side has just been incredible in terms of growth. Capping is super easy, especially here in Southern California.
You faded out on the phone, Joseph.
Oh, sorry about that. But it's all about production, guys. I just want you to know it's really fun with all these tools. So we get to do what we do, but do it better and share with other agents how incredible the model is. It's really that simple.
So here's the thing last week, folks. In Las Vegas, I was talking to Jay Nelson. He's one of the top 100 agents in the country. And he said, hey, my battle is how do I take and keep producing at a high level and still be able to talk to agents? And I said, oh, my gosh, you're thinking about this wrong. Jay, your ability to produce at the level you do, he takes about 20, 25 listings a month, simply takes and allows you to talk to more real estate agents. You only share the stories you're going about your everyday business. You keep doing what you're doing, but as you come across an agent, here's how it works, guys. If I would come across Joseph, and assuming he's a great agent, I would go, hey, Joseph, you're such an awesome agent, man. How is it that you're not at EXP yet? And Joseph goes, well, what's that? Oh, man,
Right.
I've got this video that you can watch. I'd like to invite you to a live call. Let me show you the platform. I mean, quick question, Joseph. Is your broker right now, is he making your mortgage payment for you?
Of course not.
Car payment, credit cards, any of that?
I've never heard anyone say yes.
If your broker would do that for you, could we agree like that would be a totally different cash flow that you and your family would have?
Most certainly.
Well, my broker's willing to do that. Just watch this short video, and I'll show you how that happens. Folks, if you can do that, you can build long-term wealth and completely change your life. It is that simple. So, any questions I can answer for you guys? Everybody's always shy on these things. Yvonne, Lisa, Ron, any of you guys have questions? Oh, Yvonne, you're on the phone, so I guess you can't do it that way. Nope. All right. So what I would encourage you folks is whoever invited you to this call, please get with them. Let's answer your question. Let's do a cloud walkthrough so that you'll know what a virtual experience is like. And the response for most when they do it is, oh my God, this is so cool. And it's not because it's cool, but it's cool because it's efficient. So let's do that for you. Let's answer your questions, and then let's make sure this is the right decision for everybody. Fair enough? So with that, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Get with the person who invited you. And again, we do this every Wednesday live. We have resources where you can watch a recording. Please watch it again. We'll get that information to you. And thanks so much for being here. I look forward to working with everybody in the future. Have an awesome day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.